Hey guys, I have a question that came in that I'd like to answer. Do you think you would have come to know about your past life as John if you had not been told so? Have you had more past life regression sessions since your first one? I appreciate your honesty and say I don't know. I like your approach about reincarnation. Um, it's a great question, but let's address it from um, one at a time. The first answer is: do I think I would have come to have known about the past life had I not been told? I believe that being told was part of a revealing, a revelation to me. When I was a little boy, I had out of body experiences. My brother actually told me about one that he witnessed, where I was literally lying in a bed and saying to him, "I'm on the ceiling. I'm taller than all of you." When I was a little boy. When I was a little boy, my mom was aghast when she walked out the back door and found my GI Joe up on a cross, crucified. Uh, when I was about 18, I had an experience where I literally felt the presence of Jeshua. Now, this is all before my regression. My regression didn't happen until I was around close to 30 years old. So all of that happened before. I had very big spiritual experiences that were Jeshua oriented from an early age. Um, when I was first regressed, it was because I really didn't want it to all be psychics telling me. I wanted something that was more scientifically based, something that was not as, to use a term I don't particularly care for, woo woo. Um, that's how the regular world looks at that, psychics and that sort of thing. So I wanted something that was less um, psychic oriented and more scientifically oriented. So I got my regression from a certified regression therapist. As I've said in other videos, I am one of those few who, after the regression, continue to have spontaneous regressions, and I still to this day have them. In fact, the 10 years when I stopped doing the work, I really was suppressing them, but still having them. Um, and when I started doing this work again, less than a year ago, they came flooding back in a very big way. Now, how do I know the difference between my imagination and a regression? The way I know the difference is that when I have a regressive moment, a regression moment, I am literally experiencing it as if I'm physically there. I have the full sensory awareness of the environment I'm in, the smells, the sounds, the tastes, all the stuff. I have as if I am physically there. So that's how I know it's a regression. Um, so when I look at that question of have you had more regressions, I have not had more regressions, but I haven't needed to have more regressions. It's not been something that I have felt the need to do because I'm having them spontaneously. Um, I have had moments since then where I have walked into historical places and had regressions to lives that weren't John. Like when I arrived at Petra, I walked into down the valley that you see in the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. They go down that valley and they come to that building. That building's called the Armory in Petra. And I walked down that valley and I came out into the valley. And when I walked down the valley, I had a full sensory awareness of watching people come out of that valley from the top of one of the pillars, and I was carving the pillar when I saw that, had that experience. I had that experience, and when I was in Egypt after a very big experience on the plateau, I had a moment where a friend of mine and I were sitting on a big rock, a big boulder on the plateau, and I had a regression moment where it was as if I was sitting there in that spot, you know, thousands of years earlier, and I saw exactly what I was wearing. I was wearing actually the big pointed helmet you see in a lot of the Egyptian stuff, but I was wearing a long robe that covered my entire body, arms and legs and everything, and it was nothing but gold and black stripes over the whole thing, and The helmet actually was black as well, and I had a complete vision of he and I together in that past life there. As far as other regression moments to other lives, those are the only real two that I've had. But I think I'm pretty sure I've had others, because when I started doing Renaissance festivals, my inclination was Elizabethan, and I almost always did Henry Tudor fairs, which is a different time period. And when I was first handed a sword, it just made sense to me. I just knew how to use it. It was just something very natural for me. So when I look at your first question again, do you think I would have come to know about the past life of John if somebody hadn't told me? I believe it was already revealing itself. But being told was just a part of my mental process of going from crucifying G.I. Joe in my backyard to having a regression. I think it was just the logical progression of change to come to the realization of it. So for me, was already having big spiritual experiences long before the regression, even though I was raised very Catholic. And when I asked my mother, "Why did you name me John?" I had always extrapolated it was because I was born near the time of John F. Kennedy's death. And her response when I asked her was, she says, "I have no idea why I named you John." And when she went to her Irish Catholic priest, she said, "Father, I'm really concerned about my son. He thinks he's a reincarnated apostle." And the Irish Catholic priest looked to his left and looked to his right and leaned in and said, "Don't discount it. It might be true." And so there's a lot more to this that is, in my opinion, and for me personally, there's a lot more to this than just the psychics telling me. There's a lot more than that. And, of course, I went to Norway and I took a picture of a church and Jeshua's face showed up in the picture. Crazy things like that. And more. There's many more stories. I had a channel Jeshua for me, and the first words that he said through her was John of old, John of new. I love you, I've always loved you, I will always love you. I'm with you, I've always been with you, I always will be with you. And that is why my website is called John of New, because it was the first thing that was channeled to me from Jeshua through a psychic. So it was John of old, John of new. And I am John of new because I am John Davis, and I don't consider myself the apostle. I don't consider myself Johannes ben Zebedee. I consider myself John Davis, who has these experiences and these memories. So I hope that answers your question. Do I think that I would have had the past life memories if I hadn't been told? I think I was already having the past life memories. I just hadn't established what they were yet. So there's my thought on that. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye. Thank you, my friends, for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure that you've subscribed and you like it, you share it, but also comment below it. Let's get this community talking about these topics and spreading this information out far and wide so we can change the world for the better. Thank you.